21 families at Scenery Park in the Eastern Cape not knowing what killed their children. This after the incident at a local tavern claimed the lives of the young people, youngest of whom was 13 years old. Medical experts are yet to release a formal update on the cause of their deaths because as families are now preparing to bury their loved ones next week, Wednesday, a mass funeral. Well, let's get the latest this afternoon from the ground with our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila. He's on the ground there. He's outside the eNCA Tavern. I see the area is still cordoned off. Aviwe, good afternoon. What are the police still busy with?
Good afternoon, Brad Dan. It's an active crime scene, you'd understand, and the investigators are on the ground. Remember, just moments ago, the clergy, men and women of different congregations were gathered here praying, of course, for the lives that have been lost of the 21 teenagers, also laying wreaths here in just remembering in their memory of those 21 teenagers. But in the course of the day and late morning, we've been seeing different crime scene investigators, forensics. We've also seen the department, the fire department, part of those that have been going inside as they try to determine the exact toxin that led to the deaths of these 21 teenagers. We've been reliably informed that they're going through now the beverages as well as the food that was being consumed on the day, taking samples and of that generator itself that's been contentious in terms of maybe it being the one that exhumed fumes that led then to the deaths of these 21 teenagers. In fact, we've been speaking to experts ourselves that have been detailing some of what may have happened and told that without a shadow of the doubt, the autopsy reveals that there are abnormalities that are consistent in all of the deceased that shows that there is poisoning that happened, some form of chemical poisoning, but it's just to determine now the exact toxins, which we do understand a toxicology lab in Cape Town is currently sussing out. So we're assuming now that these investigators are taking those samples in trying to determine and pinpoint the exact toxin. As we saw, even the owner, the co-owner, Siakangela Ndevu, being summoned here, taken inside by the crime scene investigators, perhaps to answer to some of what might have been happening on the day. But we do understand the liquor board laying criminal charges against the owner that's written as the one that's registered, in fact, at the liquor board. That is Vuyokazi Ndevu, the wife of Siakangela Ndevu. Those criminal charges laid in East London around just the teenagers that were allowed to be inside the venue, but not only that, that were allowed to consume alcohol. In fact, in the course of the day, Brad Dan, we've spoken to 7 teenagers aged between 14 and 17 that say they were here on that fateful day. 4 of them ended up in hospital, one breathing on ventilators and later released in hospital. They were telling us how, especially the one that was on ventilators, how he was sprayed by some form of spray which made him dizzy, and he says he felt sleepy, eventually managing to get out there. But they were telling us how easily accessible the Tavern itself was on the day, and just how they were, upon arrival, given free shots, given free alcohol beverages that were opened, and also the free food. Hence, maybe these investigators now are taking samples of those beverages and some of those food items that were there on the day, maybe to pinpoint exactly what toxin led to these deaths, because we do understand from the experts that we've been speaking to that it's either something that they inhaled, Bradan, or either something that they consumed or injected that led to these deaths.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. By the way, the toxicology investigation is happening in Cape Town, and that's what the Eastern Cape authorities have told us. We expect those results within 2 weeks.
We've been told confidentially by our sources, Bratan, that it could take some 2 weeks to pinpoint exactly what led to these deaths, where we can expect then a fuller detail. In fact, they say they are in communication with the team in Cape Town. Remember that they're constantly communicating and referring to each other on the findings that they find at those different instances. So we're expecting then the results to be out within the next 2 weeks, where the families then can be informed, detailed. But even in speaking to the BCM Deputy Mayor yesterday, Princess Faku, she said that the police from today will be communicating with the different families on where they are with the investigations and maybe how long it will take then for them to get the full disclosure of exactly what happened on that fateful Sunday. But we do now know that, of course, there is that mass funeral that we're expecting next Wednesday, which will be the 6th of July. And then the families then from there on can bury their loved ones individually going forward.
Thank you very much, Aviwe Mtila, on the ground at Scenery Park in East London with the latest update, what's happening at that active crime scene.